Welcome, witches, to today's Run Roulette, where we are going to let our workout dictate our book. Today, we actually did two workouts. We did a strength training and a run. We did a run and a lift today, so that's a double. We did 5.25 runs, so doubles is like double point of view, dual timelines, etc. The Villa by Rachel Hawkins. That's what we're getting. The Villa by Rachel Hawkins follows two timelines, one in the 70s and one in present day, both centered around two women staying at the same Italian villa decades apart. The house has a dark creative history, murder, music, writing, obsession, and both pairs of women are unraveling their own secrets the longer they stay. It promises messy friendships, artistic rivalry, and that twisty story within a story vibe I always love. Okay, first update. We are 25% of the way through the villa. At this point, we are just setting up both timelines. In the present day, Emily and Chess have now kind of rekindled their friendship and have gone to this villa. There's pressure, there's jealousy. Definitely their history is going to come out at some point. You can feel it bubbling under the surface. Emily's definitely more insecure. Chess has definitely had a lot more success, a lot more stability in her career. And that's definitely adding to the imbalance and insecurities in Emily and with their relationship. Going 70s timeline, we're meeting the girls, we're meeting the musicians, the rock stars that kind of made the villa the murder house that it is. They're very slow, a little bit just character building. They're just a little slow for me. It's definitely slowing the pace of the book down. However, I think as we kind of build up, because again, we're just meeting those characters, kind of some of the choices that those characters made and maybe added to all of this, that is going to probably explain why we're getting. I'm enjoying more of the current day story timeline. However, we are now at the point in the book where both timelines, so the 70s and present day, they're arriving at the villa. We are getting to see the characters' first impressions and interactions at the villa and with the villa. I always love a book within a book or different elements, so I'm really hoping that with them, both Chess and Emily being writers, that there's going to be some kind of writer book within a book story. I really love that writer aspect of this. Verdict so far, I'm intrigued. I'm enjoying the characters. I want to see what happens more. I want to see how the villa comes in. I definitely want to know what happened with all the rock stars. However, I'm not fully hooked yet, but I do typically like Rachel Hawkins' writing style, so that helps. It's easy to read, fun to read, pacing's decent, etc., etc. Let's keep reading. I am about the 60% mark for the villa, and things are starting to get very interesting. First off, I'm starting to get very curious about Emily's husband. At first, I thought it was kind of a simple backstory, a reason to give her some emotional baggage, if you will. But I'm starting to think that maybe he is a little bit more involved in this story than we were originally led to believe. For instance, in the beginning, it talks about her getting sick. I'm wondering if maybe he was poisoning her. Potentially. Then there's Chess. There's these kind of conversations that Emily and Chess keep having where Chess contradicts herself very clearly in the conversations that we're having. And Emily doesn't call her out, but she notes it. And so the reader is kind of noting that there's clearly some contradictions happening. And I'm wondering if there's more to those as simple contradictions, or if maybe just Emily's like hyper focused because of the tension between Emily and Ches, but that's definitely adding to that emotional relationship kind of tension that they have. I do feel like the story is trying to make the villain more of a character than it really is. It feels like it has a purpose. It's kind of that one of the aspects that combines the current and present day, but it's not quite its own character yet. But I feel like the story kind of wants it to be a little bit more than I'm currently getting. So in the 70s timeline, Mary's definitely seeing how kind of messy everybody's relationship is and how weird the dynamics are. And maybe it's not as clear as she thinks that their relationships are not clearly as defined as she thought. There's definitely maybe some more jealousy, some more ego, codependencies, etc. that's like simmering under, so it's starting to set up the story for what's probably what we know comes later, which is the murderer. I also do like throughout this that there's different forms of mixed media. There's podcasts, there's books, there's just different forms of the story that's been told and sprinkled in. I always enjoy kind of that different element in book. I definitely feel like we're also starting to see the parallels between Emily and Ches and Mary and Laura, for example, the past and the present. I think that that's all coming together, and that combined kind of subtle parallels are really adding a lot more intrigue and depth to the story that's keeping me engaged. Definitely allowing me to gain more intrigue, just like kind of more investment, if you will, in the 70s story. Now, time for my very messy book theory. And again, this is all speculative. I have no idea if I'm just trying to make something weirder than it is, or if it is, but I have a theory. So the 70s is giving very messy love triangle dynamic where there's also this writer with Mary and Johnny, and then also kind of the musical creativity. So a lot of creative kind of collisions and a lot of creative dynamics and love triangle dynamics that I think are going to add into why there was a murder. And so seeing the subtle comparisons between Emily and Ches are making me wonder if, crazy theory time, stick with me here, if Emily's husband was poisoning her, and then maybe like Ches coming back into her life and being like, you remember that book we wanted to write a long time ago? Let's write it together. And then Emily's getting invested in the villa's backstory, wanting to write something. And Ches is like, let's do it together. And then maybe there's actually a secret love triangle between Ches and Emily's ex-husband, and he was poisoning her. And this is all kind of a cover for the darker, more murderous intentions that Ches has. It's crazy, I know, but that is my theory. Let's keep reading and see if I'm right. Let me know what you think in the comments if you have read this, if you had any crazy theories, or what your crazy theory would be. Let me know down below. All right, witches, I finished the villa, and here are my final thoughts. First, I was not 100% right in my theory. I had pieces of it, but the book didn't take it as far as I was hoping, and that kind of also sums up how I feel about the ending overall. The story builds and builds, there's tension, parallels, all the creative jealousy, all of it, that I feel like is building up to this huge breaking point. However, the book kind of just jumps to a wrap up, almost like the most interesting part happened off screen and you just get a recap. It wasn't bad. I still enjoyed the setup and the atmosphere and the mixed media elements, but the ending definitely fell a little flat for me. This book is for those who may love a dual timeline with massive creative friendships, a thriller that leans more atmospheric than twist heavy, also somebody who really likes where the setting and the location is almost a character of its own in the story. This is definitely not for those who love a thriller with heavy twists and turns that you cannot see coming. But overall,
yeah, great vibes, good midpoint with lots of intrigue, but the ending just didn't quite land quite as I was hoping. That's it for this week's Run Roulette. If you enjoyed hanging out with me, make sure to hit that subscribe button, give the video a like, and leave me a comment on whether you've read the villa and what you thought. Next week's Run Roulette is Man Fuck This House, so get ready for haunted vibes, questionable choices, and me probably running scared in the dark. Bye, witches.